How we doing there, boys and girls? Manthieus here, and welcome back to another video. So today I wanted to bring up what I think might end up being quite a controversial topic, so please bear with me with this one. But we're going to be talking about the work order system. The work order system is the glue that is arguably going to hold together a lot of the Dragonflight activities. There's a whole new revamp for crafting, which is looking very good, I must say. The crafting system has got lots of new additions to it, lots of variety of things to craft. The spec trees are starting to come together nicely and are looking quite interesting. The speed in which you're going to be able to work through them seems to be well paced at the moment. I've not got very many criticisms at all about the new crafting system. Raiders, even PvPers, Mythic Pluses are going to be far more interested in professions as well this expansion, for the fact that all of a sudden crafters are making some pretty good bits of gear. And that's going to spark the interest of many players, probably a lot more so than it ever has. The work order system, though, is meant to be the glue that ties it all together, and this leads me to my ever so slightly controversial opinion on this, is that I think they need to get rid of it. I don't think the work order system is going to do what Blizzard expects it and wants it to do. At least not the way that they've put forward their initial thoughts on it anyway. Let's catch people up, though, before we get too deep into this. Let's catch people up. Let me give you a quick rundown. Let me show you guys what we know about the crafting order system as it stands currently. And let me paint the picture of why I feel that it just may not work the way that Blizzard wants it to work. And especially considering we are less than 2 months. We have an official launch date now. November 28th is the launch of Dragonflight. We still haven't seen it. We are very close to the end of the development cycle for this expansion, and we still haven't even seen what I consider a basic mock-up version of the work order system. But let's jump in game. Let me show you guys what it is, and hopefully allow me to spend a couple of minutes highlighting some of my concerns and why I think that they should just get rid of it. So, what do we know then? What do we actually know? Well, as and when you get into Dragon Isles, you head over to Valdrakken in Thaldraszus, the main capital city, and in the Artisans Market section, you'll find this fella. This is your NPC for the work orders. At the moment, this is very basic. This has not changed in 2 months since we first saw it on the alpha. The simplistic design of this is such that if you want to buy a piece of gear, if you want to place an order for a piece of gear, you can create a crafting order. You should then, in theory, be able to search through the different things that you can order. Let's say we want a piece of gear. We can say, right, okay, I want an end game piece of crafted gear. Let's say I want a primal molten helm. You can select the item, customize it in a way that is suitable for your desire, and then send that order off. That's the TLDR, that's the basic rundown to it. There's a little bit more going on here, but the reality is as it stands on the beta, none of this really works. So it's all sort of, it's all theory at the moment for the most part. The issue I think that we're going to have is that it's overly complicated, and it has some massive drawbacks to what we already have. Blizzard are painting it so that this is not going to be an alternative to the auction house. Blizzard are painting the picture that this will be in place of the auction house for nearly every single end game piece of gear within Dragonflight. If you take a little bit of a look at any given crafting profession, you'll very quickly spot that if we take a look at some of the end game pieces of gear, they're all bind on pickup. Absolutely everything is bind on pickup. Now, in a world where you're restricted to only 2 main professions, that means, sure, you'll have access to a couple of bits of pieces, but the rest of it is just going to rot. You're not going to be able to use most of the pieces of gear, and this is why the work order system, in theory, was designed, so that you can share your knowledge and your expertise as a blacksmith with other players on your realm. It's complicated even more so by the fact that you then have crafting materials that are also bind on pickup. You'll start to notice a pattern here. There is a very heavy usage of bind on pickup, both at material level and at the end crafted items, which goes a long way to eliminate the auction house from the equation completely. The work order system is going to replace that of the auction house for practically everything, which is where I heavily disagree with Blizzard's design philosophy on this. I feel that the work order system, at its best, should only be an alternative. You need to give crafters the ability to make these items and to list them on the auction house and sell them to the people that need them in a convenient fashion. Work orders will never ever be convenient, even if they get it right. Even if they get it right, their work orders will never be convenient because you have to place an order. You place an order, it then goes out to the masses. You then have to hope that somebody's able to make that exact specification that you requested. You then got to wait for a crafter to pick it up. That crafter then presumably has X amount of time to make that piece of gear to fulfill the order. But there's no guarantee to any of this. It's going to be a quite difficult system to work with, even if they smooth out all of the issues. So this is that realistically is what my big one concern, that people just won't like it because it's not convenient. The auction house is convenient. You see what's there. If you can afford it and you want it, you buy it. It's in your mailbox and you're away. Super quick and easy and convenient. Nobody wants to be placing orders for a piece of gear and then just sitting back for 48 hours, fingers crossed, hoping that that piece of gear is crafted for them. There's nothing more frustrating than waiting 24 hours to only find your order then hasn't been fulfilled and you need to try again. You need to put another order in again, maybe offering a slightly bigger tip. It's not very user-friendly. It's not very flexible. Let me draw your attention, though, for a couple of minutes to a blue post that came out. This came out 11 days ago now. I considered talking about this when it first landed, but I made the assumption that, well, if they're talking about it in detail here, we must be almost ready to see it in action, surely, right? But 11 days later, nearly 2 weeks after this blue post has came out, we still don't have the work order system or the crafting order system implemented, and it's leaving some questions out there. Let's run through this very quickly, though, just to catch people up. So, some rules that they are going to put in place with this crafting order system is that any of these bind-on pickup materials that I spoke about should be provided by the customer, by the person that places the order. They're going to need to provide the bind-on pickup materials. As a general rule, if something is soulbound, it's probably going to be needed to be provided by the customer. I think the only way that this work order system is going to work feasibly is if Blizzard strengthens that rule to when you place an order, you provide everything. You've got to make this system more simplistic for people to engage with. If you give people the option to provide some of the materials but not others, it's going to get wildly complicated for anybody to engage with. Crafters are going to have to go to the auction or go to the crafting order system. They're going to have to filter through and try and look through all of the orders that are there. They're going to have to try and work out, right, this person is offering material X, Y, and Z, but they're not offering this. It means I have to provide that, but the tip doesn't ignore it next. It's just not going to be very flexible. I'm strongly of the opinion that if the work order system is going to work in any way, shape, or form, make it so that the person placing the order has to provide everything. Make the materials bind on equip like they are in many cases. Let the materials be listed on the auction house. If you want to place an order for a piece of gear, it means you can then quickly see, right, this material's worth this material's worth this. Sure, have some soulbound materials, fine. You're going to have to go out and farm some of those yourself, but they're the big ticket items. The little bits and pieces that you need to complete an order, I think still should be provided by the person that places the order in the first place. That's the only way I can seemingly feel that this system will be at least a little bit user-friendly to players. Even then, I'm concerned that it might end up meaning that these customized pieces of gear are still what players will consider far too expensive to be dealing with. We don't want a Shadowlands Legendary situation again. Legendaries were bonkers level crazy expensive, so much so that they were priced out of the reach of many players, so much so that people felt incentivized to physically buy tokens with real money to be able to afford that one piece of gear. Not a system that we want to see repeated again. I think pretty much anybody that has had to engage with Shadowlands Legendaries will agree that it wasn't a great system. And I hope you can start to see the concerns that I'm having with this. I do not feel that this late in the development cycle, Blizzard are going to be able to do anything even remotely acceptable with this crafting order system. And if they do a half-assed job of it, people won't touch it. They won't touch it with a barge pole. And if they don't touch it, and if they don't want to use it, and they don't want to integrate with it in any way, shape, or form, if the complexities of getting a piece of crafted gear is too much like hard work, they'll just go run another Mythic Plus, or they'll just wait till next week to get another shot at that boss in the raid. Crafted gear is not so good that it's worthwhile taking all of this extra effort with, I feel. And it's a concern. The alternative is make it optional. Make it an alternative to the regular auction house. Make all of the crafted pieces of gear. If you let crafters do what crafters do best, right? Which is power level through this stuff, unlock the patterns, craft the items. Let crafters put a price on these bind-on pickup materials. Crafters don't particularly prefer a situation like this. It's going to limit their ability to actually make things in the first place. But at least once you do put the time and the effort into making a piece of gear, make it bind on equip, let people put it on the auction house. If somebody really, really, really desperately wants a customized order, then the work order system in its rudimentary fashion will be there for you. But it's concerning. It's concerning that we are so late in the development cycle. We've seen 0 iterations on this very fundamental system to the way that Dragonflight is going to operate. And I'm strongly of the opinion at this point, like I said at the beginning of the video, I think Blizzard's best option at this point is just scrap it. Ripcord that. Put it out of the game completely. Make the adjustments where needed to the crafting system to allow crafters to go out, make things, put them on the auction house the way that it's always worked. If they half-ass the work order system, if they don't get it right, people won't engage with it, and it crushes the entire crafting system that they've spent a lot of time and effort developing on. I started this video by saying that the crafting system looks really good. There's a lot more variety of things you can craft this time round. The specialization trees are looking really smart. The progression in terms of acquiring knowledge for your professions seems to be relatively well paced. It's going to make it a really fun, engaging system. But the number one reason why anybody would do any of this is to be able to make gear that is either good for themselves or that they can trade to their friends, guild members, or even sell on the auction house to make a little bit of gold. If that key element isn't there because everything's bind on pickup and the work order system sucks, it's going to have detrimental effects on all of the time and the effort and the money and the resources and the development time that they've put into this system in the first place. And like I said, I'm of the opinion pretty strongly now that unless they pull an absolute rabbit out the bag, unless I post this video on YouTube and tomorrow they drop a beta patch with a completely built system, ready for testing, ready for bug fixing. If that happens, hey, I'll eat my hat. I'll delete the video. But my concerns are pretty high at this point that what is the glue of a lot of what's going on in Dragonflight in this work order system is just not going to be ready, and it's just not going to be very good even when it does come in. So let me know what you think about that. I did start the video saying it's going to be a little bit of a controversial topic, so I understand if you maybe don't agree with me. I'd love to get your thoughts on this though. Building a discussion around this sort of thing is crucial to, to hopefully being able to get a better system in place. Now, I know I'm not the biggest channel out there by any means, but, the more feedback Blizzard can get access to, the better, right? But I'll leave it there. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, boys and girls. Like always, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace.